welcome to the weekend, welcome to whale season, and welcome down to Stony Point. Today there are too many exciting things for us to do. My name is Jax, I'm going to be your naturalist. Flippy is behind the camera, and we are not wasting time on me. We're going straight back to the ocean because today we are starting our day off with some humpback whales. So we had 92% of the viewers who responded to our poll say that you wanted to do whale anatomy today, and the humpback whales have heard this and they've decided, there they are, that they would love to give us a view of their beautiful bodies. And this is a live show. And if you watched the sunrise safari this morning, you would know that we're doing things just a little bit differently at the moment. So what we're doing is we are only taking questions on our channels page. So your questions and comments are all going to come through on the WildEarth website. You can also scan the QR code on your screen to be able to get to the place where you're going to send in your questions and comments. And I'm also super excited because now what you're also able to do is send through your stories. And that was actually one of my favorite parts of being a guide, a whale watching guide, is listening to the stories of the people that came on my boats. So super excited. Please do send us through your stories about the animals that we're watching, the animals that you have at home, childhood memories, anything like that. We would love to hear them. I would really love to hear them. And you can see it is a beautiful day, perfect day to whale watch and talk about whales. To send us through anything you'd like to say, just register on our website, on the WildEarth website. And then you'll go onto wildearth.tv/questions. Let's go have a look at our weather forecast for today. So it is indeed sunny and 16 today. And before the show, our lovely director Nadine just said all she wants is a whale. That's all she wants from us. She also wants to see the Cape Cormorants because we've got a surprise on that too. We are over at World's Edge today. It's the perfect place to watch whales and look out for some pelagic seabirds. And we were here only 3 days ago. And when we were here, we were looking at our Cape Cormorants and we were watching them, and we got to see them pitter-patter their feet on the rocks. And I was saying they were getting ready for the mating and the breeding season. Timothy, I think we're definitely going to watch the whales now. So humpback whales on average take dives that last between 4 and 8 minutes. So what we'll do is what I usually do when I guide, and when the whales are down we talk a lot and we can do a bit of the whale anatomy and the comparative anatomy, and then when the whales are up we just watch whales. I have to make sure that I stand still so that the boardwalk does not bump for poor Flippy. So I will endeavour to not bounce too much. So there's at least one whale here. Flippy he said he saw some spouts in the distance, and what often happens is that under the water, we don't realize it, but these whales are talking to each other. They can pick up on each other's presence.
If you would like to be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration in Kenya live on WildEarth, then we have some great news for you. There are a few places left to join our expeditions in August and September this year. You'll be staying in an exclusive tented camp with ensuite bedrooms nestled in the riverine woodlands of the Talek River. Head over to our website to book your bucket list experience today. WildEarth Expeditions. Travel with purpose.
Please join me this coming Sunday evening after the Sunset Safari, that's the 26th of June, where I'm going to be doing a town hall to tell you all about the latest locations that are being added on to WildEarth, as well as answer your questions. Just go to wildearth.tv, make sure you're registered, and have your questions ready.
And we are still looking out for those whales, and whale watching is a patience game, more than most wildlife watching, because whales are deep diving mammals. And so you'll see the whale come up several times and then they'll go and take a deep dive. If they really want to, they can stay down for about half an hour. But it is all about patience, and the nice thing about humpback whales is they often keep their course. So they'll travel in one direction, and so you can kind of track even if they're below the water where they might be. And because they are mammals, they have to come up to breathe, and so next thing that you will likely see before you see any body of a whale is you will see the spout. And that spout, a lot of people think the whale is spouting out water, but that's not true. We call it a whale spout. But what it actually is, it's the warm air in the whale's lungs that's compressed, coming out very fast. And Carter, crashing waves are one of the best parts of shooting down here at World's Edge, because this is just straight Atlantic past us. There's no island, there's nothing blocking it. And so you can really hear the force and power of the Atlantic Ocean so beautifully here. But I was saying that with the whales there will be a spout, so that's the warm air in the whale's lungs meeting with the cold atmospheric air. It's like when you breathe outside on a cold day, you can see your own breath. That's exactly what you're seeing. If the whales have been feeding, you can actually smell their breath, and it is not a very pleasant smell. It smells like krill. Krill doesn't smell very good. It's a little bit fishy. But in this region, we don't often smell the whale's breath because they are fasting when they're passing by here, because they're going to the breeding grounds. This whale has taken a deeper dive, so what we're going to do is we're going to come a little bit closer to the shore, because 3 days ago, about 72 hours ago to be exact, we were here looking at our Cape cormorants, and we had not a single Cape cormorant nest. We saw them pitter-pattering their feet, which seabirds do when they're trying to establish where they might want to have their nest. And Flippy and I are so excited to show you today that everything has changed down here at World's Edge. We have at least 3 or 4 nests. Cormorants are establishing their nests. We're seeing the mating behavior of our Cape cormorants. And I've been saying for about a month, because we've had more Cape cormorants around, that they're checking out the sites. And so what seabirds will do is for a couple of weeks, they'll kind of pitter-patter their feet and they'll have a look at a site and decide, is this where I want to raise my babies? And then in only 3 days, you can see this beautiful nest that Flippy has found for us has been made. There's still greenery in the nest, which shows us that it is very nice and fresh. And at every moment that we are on the show today, one of us is looking at the sea to see if we can show you those whales again.
at WildEarth, we promised great monthly prizes for our explorers, and this month is no exception. If you join our club before the 10th of July, then you stand a chance to win a fabulous Safari Guide online course brought to you by Bushwise Field Guides. They specialize in accredited safari guide training with courses tailored for the African safari lodge industry. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer today and don't miss out on this life-changing opportunity.
We were looking at two flirting Cape cormorants. I think they've already established that they're going to do this together. They're going to be raising their chicks together, building their nests together. And seabirds need to be in sync. They need to trust their partner. So we are hoping to show you some synchronized dancing. Oh, there's the spout, there's the whale. So completely 12 o'clock to me. So sorry, we're going to do some fast camera movements today, but only because we really would love to show you those whales. Iris, so I'm seeing two whales where we saw them, just so that you know. I really love your name. It's the name of my favorite song in the world. And I would say not necessarily. So Nadine, our director, is also excited about the whales. That makes me really happy. So back to the plant material. So I think they actually prefer to use plant material that is quite dry, because that's going to dry out anyway, that greenery. I think the only reason they chose that green plant material is because it was close by and it was easily available. So most nests, if you have a look, are sort of dry and brown in color. You don't often see a fully green nest. I strongly suspect that with that nest, the reason why the material is green there is because they know that if they move too far from the nest, then the other cormorants will try to steal some of that nesting material. So if it was lying around, I think they just quickly picked it up in the hopes that they could add it to their nest. And like your white-breasted and other two cormorant species here, it's often the male who fetches the material and the female that builds the nests. Going to be watching the water a lot today. So if you've ever been thinking about going whale watching, this is what you're going to experience. There's going to be lulls where there are no whales. And you'll hear me when I guide whale watching, I'll always say the whale is up, the whale is down, the whale is up, just because it gives you the opportunity to actually take a photograph and predict when the whale's coming up. Otherwise, it makes it very hard to watch if you're not used to watching them. And different whales also behave completely differently. So I struggle to watch things like orca or new species of whale because I don't know how to predict their behavior yet. And it sounds like some of you are only seeing a black screen, so we have not zoomed in too close to a cormorant. Unfortunately, there seems to be some technical difficulties, but we've got a great tech team and they are working on it. So hopefully you'll be able to see what we are seeing very soon. So we're looking at a very blue ocean with some purplish clouds in the background. Very synonymous with what we see along this coastline. We always have that cloud bank lingering. And hopefully that black screen will soon be replaced with these beautiful views. This whale has dived once more. So we might head back to our cormorants and see if the whale will come up once again a little bit later on. And this is typical travel behavior. And so they'll come up a couple of times, they'll go down. There's no reason for whales to be at the surface apart from breathing.
Hi, I am David. I come to you live from the Mana Triangle, all the way from Kenya.
This is not a postcard. This is real. Sunrise in the beautiful Masai Mara.
We protect and reconnect nature across southern Africa. We bring countries together to care for wild spaces that stretch beyond borders. We protect and restore biodiversity. We prioritize the people living in these landscapes, enabling them to thrive in harmony with nature. We are restoring tomorrow.
Whale has given us a slip, or the slip rather. We've come back to our beautiful mating Cape Cormorants. And their feathers are so iridescent at the moment. So they've got this bluish sheen. But I'm not going to talk about that today because Byron is with you on Thursday and Friday. The whale's up again. Just in line, if you have a look at these cormorants, just above them. So the whale had just one blow. You might be lucky and see a couple more. Looks like the whale's going into deeper waters, so we might not be able to watch it for much longer. But I was talking about the iridescent sheen of Cape Cormorants, and Byron will be talking about that on either Thursday or Friday. So stay tuned if you're wondering why these cormorants have such beautiful blue feathers at the moment. Samuel, so I'm going to break it down and talk about whales as a group. So whales are what we call cetaceans, and then you break cetaceans or whales down into two separate groups. So one is Odontoceti, I'm saying that very wrong, but that is the toothed whales. And the other is the baleen whales. And so the toothed whales are animals that would eat larger prey. And so all toothed whales, you're looking at sperm whales, you're looking at all of your dolphins, orcas, beaked whales, all of those things are toothed whales. And so your orcas actually eat other large whales. So they would eat something large, they would sort of rip other large whales apart, and they often eat the tongue. Often it's only the tongue of large whales because that's the highest or the most nutrient-dense part of the whale for an orca. Sperm whales eat giant squid, so they eat very large things. So whales with teeth, in summary, can eat very large things. Whales that have baleen filter-feeding plates cannot. So the other day I actually said baleen whales on the show, and I didn't explain it, and I should have, because baleen whales are the biggest animals on the planet. The blue whale is a baleen whale, and they have these tightly packed plates in their mouth that work like a sieve. So the plates are made of keratin, the same as your hair and your fingernails. They hang from the top of the whale's mouth down, and they trap the food that the whales are eating. So what the whales will do is they'll open their mouths big and wide, and they will take in a mouthful of fish or krill, and then the water will be expelled, and the krill and the fish will stay in the mouth. And I do have a photo of that, and I also have my favorite whale book with me. So I'm going to look and see if I can show you one baleen plate. There we go. So Flippy's going to come to me quickly, and we're going to show you a single baleen plate, and I believe this is a right whale plate by the size. Could be wrong. It is a right whale plate. There we go. So you're going to come and have a look. Flippy, let me know if I'm too close. Would you like me to move back a little bit? Flippy says I'm good. Okay, so that is a single baleen plate of a southern right whale. They have the largest of the baleen plates. And so they can't really eat anything very large. Sometimes things like pelicans get stuck in the mouth of a whale by mistake. Seals can also sometimes get stuck, but whales have a very small throat, so they couldn't swallow anything very large at all. So that is what baleen looks like. You can see it's fine and hair-like. And humans used to use baleen for things like women's corsets and umbrellas. And I think we should go back and have a look at our cormorants. And what we'll do is we'll just do a little bit of whale anatomy all throughout the show. So to finish answering that question, whales can't swallow very large things. Baleen whales cannot swallow very large things. They've got very narrow throats.
Well, my name is Mark Carantonis, and I'm the co-owner of a travel company called Africa Direct, and I'm from White River in Mpumalanga, and I'm the founder of Safari Guide of the Year. It takes a lot of courage, you know, to put your hand up and say I'm in. To put yourself forward and say I'm here to learn, it's not possible without them.
My name is Michelle Duplessis, and I'm the Managing Director of the Field Guides Association of Southern Africa. I'm one of the judges this year, and I'll be judging the game drive category, as well as hospitality, professionalism and storytelling. I really look forward to seeing everybody again this year, and obviously to meet the incredible contestants.
We're back with our Cape Cormorants and their new couples. And Flippy thinks it's environmental factors that would synchronize these birds breeding at the same time. Albert, so you are in the right lane and on the right vein with this. So these birds like to nest where people cannot reach them and where other predators can't reach them. And so you would see them here nesting on these rocks with a bit of height. I've actually never seen them nest on the floor at a colony like this, and it would be unwise because then you'd have or run the risk of things like mongoose stealing eggs and killing chicks. So they are on these outermost rocks because they feel that that's the safest place for them to raise their chicks. I believe on flat islands like Dyer Island, I think I'm seeing a Cape Gannet. I am indeed. So I don't think we'll get it because it's just one singular gannet. He's flying this way, Flippy. I don't think we're even going to try and get him because he's just so far and so fast already. But I want to go have a look at these cormorants in front of us here, because one has just arrived back, and they are fairly territorial. They shout at each other. They seem to get upset when the other Cape Cormorants land, which I find interesting. So that one cormorant at the top does not have a nest there yet, but I think that's where he's decided his nest will be. So you can see him pitter-pattering his feet now. Doing a little dance to attract a pretty girl. And he got very upset at the other cormorant because the other cormorant landed close to the nest. So they will peck at each other. We're about to see some mating. Look at that. Just landed on their partner's head. So mating is not always a very easy process. It can be a little bit awkward to figure out your partner. that's quite cute that he's slowly tugging at his partner's tail feathers. What's very interesting about the Cape Cormorant, the thing they do differently when they mate, is that the female will actually jump on the back of the male first as part of their mating ritual, and then only will she be below the male, cloaca to cloaca, and then they will exchange what needs exchanging so that the female is then able to get ready to start laying her eggs. Just a reminder, if you would like to send in some of those questions or comments, that you can register on our channels page to do that. Also send us in your stories. I think that's what I'm most excited for now. I think it's so special that we're able to show you this mating behavior, and that we were all here only 72 hours ago. And we can show you how quickly things can change in nature when things are synchronized. It's likely that all of these chicks are going to be born around the same time, they'll fledge around the same time. Looks like we do have a little marriage dispute.
Your trekking is very good. What is the starting trekking? Just track the leopard. You walk a little bit, you stop. You starting checking. Keep your hands, your neck up. Okay, your eyes. Listen for the birds. You follow the leopard. The leopard should see you first. You lose. Talk next year.
The Safari Guide of the Year 2022 is approaching us rapidly. This year, we'll be heading to Bushwire's field guides at the Southern African Wildlife College from the 27th June till the 2nd of July. We will soon meet all our contestants who are vying for the prize of being the very best of the best, and the judges who will put them through their paces. Join me, Steve Falconbridge, as we dream it, guide it, win it.
If you would like to be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration in Kenya live on WildEarth, then we have some great news for you. There are a few places left to join our expeditions in August and September this year. You'll be staying in an exclusive tented camp with ensuite bedrooms nestled in the riverine woodlands of the Talek River. Head over to our website to book your bucket list experience today. WildEarth Expeditions. Travel with purpose.
Please join me this coming Sunday evening after the Sunset Safari, that's the 26th of June, where I'm going to be doing a town hall to tell you all about the latest locations that are being added on to WildEarth, as well as answer your questions. Just go to wildearth.tv, make sure you're registered, and have your questions ready.
if we can't do whale anatomy today, we'll do whale anatomy tomorrow. Do you think it's worth me printing on just paper?
Wouldn't bother too much with it.
Okay. am so sorry that we had some technical difficulties there, but we are back and we are excited to be able to spend our last 20 minutes with you down here at the edge of the world. Nothing much has changed since you last saw us. We've been watching these Cape cormorants down here as they navigate the trials and tribulations of nesting. And you can see some of them are doing their mating dance, and there's two who are trying to get an intruder to get away from the nest. And just a reminder that we have changed up how we do our questions and comments, so you're going to have to register on our WildEarth website, and I really hope that you will. We would love to hear from you. So you register and then you can submit questions, comments, and now also stories from your experiences, and we can talk about them on the show. So register on the website, go onto wildearth.tv/questions, and then we can hear from you there. If it's easier, we also have a nice QR code that you can scan, and that'll lead you to where you need to be. If you don't have a very advanced phone like mine, you go to your Google Lens and you scan it with a Google Lens, and that is what's going to help you to get to where you want to be. And you can also just search Google Lens in Google. Just like these cormorants, I struggle with technology, and this cormorant here is trying to break off some of the vegetation, but all the vegetation here is really tough, so I think he's going to have a hard time doing this. I think he's hoping for a nice big piece. It's very much like when you're pulling a rope and your rope snaps and you're only stuck with one small piece and a bit of rope burn. Oh, there we go. That's a sizable amount. So that is very exciting. Seems to be tearing off several pieces before he heads home with them, so that's something I find quite interesting. We'll have to see where this gentleman has made his nest. And so we can see, just by not having been here for a few days, that they build their nests extremely quickly. I do wonder how much this cormorant is going to try and get before he heads back to the nesting spot where his partner waits. And what we might have to do is we might have to move whale anatomy to tomorrow. But we do have some time left. I think we're going to be spending a lot more time at World's Edge here in the coming months, looking for whales and watching our Cape cormorants. We do also need to show you a penguin today because we are Penguin Beach. So we'll be going and having a look at the penguins in just a few short moments. This cormorant is now having a look around. More than any of the other cormorants, they seem to be very aware of what's happening around them.
I've been fortunate to be working in the guiding industry for about 26 years now. I've also been fortunate enough to do 9 years of the 10 years as one of the judges, and the particular components that I do is the walking and the shooting exercises. If you're the winner, if you're going to be the winner, it's important to become an ambassador for the field guide industry and competitors in the future.
The one thing we promise to show you every single day, or I promise to show you on every single day, will be our African penguins. And there you can see we've got a very nice plump juvenile who's sitting amongst the adults. I wonder if he's getting ready to molt those juvenile colours. And there's also a Cape Cormorant who's sticking his head into the frame. He would like to be the star of the show. Abigail, that is exactly why we make sure that even if there's all these other exciting things happening, that we always show you 1 or 2 penguins. A penguin a day keeps so much at bay. I think it keeps everybody quite happy. Shame that juvenile looks very shy. He's found himself a nice little rock in the hopes of not being kicked by the other adults. And there's lots of exciting things happening this afternoon. Lauren is in Amakhala in the Eastern Cape, which is a beautiful reserve, and I don't think we've ever done shows in the Eastern Cape before. So very exciting that Lauren will be showing you this new area, this new frontier. I'm sure you're all going to love exploring this new space and having Lauren back. Liam is going for gold this afternoon. Liam is looking for wild dogs, so I think that should be really fun. I love seeing wild dogs. It's one of my favorite animals in the bush. Chris is going southwest and he'll be on foot for us today. And last but certainly not least, it sounds like Rexon is after Tulumba. I think lots of fun in store in this afternoon safari. I think what we might do is we might just have a very quick look at some whale anatomy. I think we'll have to do more detail in the coming days and coming shows. Rachel, they are adorable when they huddle and they're not looking to cause trouble with each other. They are very close together in that region there. It's quite surprising because typically when there is a little bit more space, you'd think that they would use the space available to them. But I think we'll do a quick section on whale anatomy just so you can see the humpback whale that we saw today.
And coming up in first place and officially named Mbilo is Heart's Cub.
The Safari Guide of the Year 2022 is approaching us rapidly. This year, we'll be heading to Bushwise Field Guides at the Southern African Wildlife College from the 27th June till the 2nd of July. We will soon meet all our contestants who are vying for the prize of being the very best of the best, and the judges who will put them through their paces. Join me, Steve Falconbridge, as we dream it, guide it, win it.
We're going to do a little bit on whale anatomy, but what we really want to show you now is a bit weird. It's a dusty on a fence. Flippy was smiling at me, and he's got a particular smile when there's something I haven't yet seen. We don't always like to show you the more urban parts of this environment, but this is just going to show you how brilliant dusties are at climbing. So what a cool, cool look at something a little bit unusual. And I think that Dusty wants to enjoy some sun without anybody bothering him, and he's chosen that spot as a means to do that. But let's have a quick look at some whale anatomy. We can always do more detail later on. That Dusty was desperate for sun. We're going to try and keep this book out of the sun so that you can see it nicely. And this is what the skeleton of a whale would look like if you had to take all the meat off them. And around the world, there's some beautiful skeletons hanging in museums. And there you can see the baleen quite nicely of the whales. So you can see in the mouth, the baleen plates are hanging from the top. So humans have teeth on the bottom and top jaws. Whales have nothing on their bottom jaw. The baleen hangs from the top. And unlike us, sorry, that's my movement there with the with the wind. Unlike us, so we have a very big top jaw and a very small lower jaw. But whales are a little bit opposite. So the top jaw holds the baleen, but the lower jaw of the whale is very large because that's the part that takes in all the water and all the food. So there you can see the head quite nicely, with the skull. And you'll also see, if you have a look, the whale's eye is very low down on the whale's head. So with us, our eyes are right at the top of the head. The whale's eyes are very low down, just above the jaw. And you can see it says orbit in this diagram. So it's very difficult to see a whale's eye when you're out at sea. They have to literally look at you, or they have to be breaching to get a nice view. And whales do like to look at us. We love to watch them. They love to watch us too. And we call that mugging, should a whale ever come up to you and want to have a look. So that's the head, and then you'll see they've got a very nice large rib case that houses all the vital organs, which is very similar to us and most mammals, all mammals in fact. And then we have the hand of the whale, and what I love is that that hand, which would have been the paw, the front limb, has 5 fingers just like us. So I think that shows us that we're not very different from the animals that we love to watch. And whales used to live on land, and they made the very informed and intelligent decision to go back into the water. And so they developed that front limb to be able to help them move. But really what propels them is right at the back of the whale, and that is the tail. And you'll see it is not present here because the tail of the whale has no bones. Sorry, the wind's picked up. It wasn't supposed to. And it's very difficult to see, but you'll see right below the whale there's these 2 hanging bones. So those bones are the vestigial hip bones, and they're not attached to the whale's body at all because they became so small and so almost redundant that they're not attached to anything. So that's where the whales would have had their back limbs. And when we say vestigial, it means that they don't really have a use, although in recent years, scientists actually believe that they still have a use when it comes to actually mating with other whales, that those hip bones might still play a small role. So that's a very quick look at whale anatomy, and this whale below is a humpback whale. But we will definitely do more of that in times to come. So let's go have a look at our cormorants and our last couple of moments on the show. I'm sorry we got cut a little bit short, but we will be back here tomorrow. It's always the next day to talk about the things that we want to talk about and see different things and different animals. But I hope that you've had a lovely time. I hope that you've all been registering on the website so that we can hear from you on the show. Chris, I'm always glad when we get to see you, even if it's for shorter than what we would like. I think Flippy agrees. We're always very excited to be out here with you. But thank you very much for watching and for spending your Saturday afternoon looking for wildlife with us at Stony Point. So we've got so much to look forward to in the coming months with more whales about. The first southern right whale babies were spotted in Walker Bay. My friend let me know yesterday, so hopefully we'll have some baby whales to show you. Months to come, we'll have some baby Cape cormorants about in this area. So on behalf of Flippy, myself, Nadine, and the rest of the team at WildEarth, thank you so much for watching.